Good morning. Welcome to morning meeting. So here's what's on my mind this morning. The other day I was having a conversation with one of my English students. And this is someone who's learning English as a second language, and she's actually quite fluent and advanced. And so we have pretty decent conversations about things. She's really just trying to get to that next level because she works for a company that's a global company, and there's people from all parts of the world that work for this company, but English is the common denominator in that particular setting. So she just wants to up her game, and get to a new level. And I enjoy talking with her. I hadn't talked to her in a long time. It'd been a few years. We initially met during the pandemic. So the other day we were having our lesson, and we've been talking about meetings and having meetings with people. And what's interesting is when you have meetings with people from other cultures, and the question that came up was, how do you handle confrontation in your culture versus other cultures? Because obviously this is going to be different from culture to culture, right? Even in the United States, we have the overall American culture, right? But within the American culture, we have subsets, we have other cultures. And so you have to know and learn and understand how to navigate those environments, and what's the what's the common denominator within those organizations and how they can communicate. So it was an interesting conversation. She's from Brazil, and so she was explaining that the people generally, there's going to be a little bit more pleasantry and things like that when before you get into something like a disagreement or discussing something that maybe isn't in line with whatever someone else is thinking. She said they also tend to interrupt each other, talk over each other. And I thought that was interesting. And her observation of Americans was that we tend to be very direct. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. We tend to be a pretty direct group of people, just generally. Obviously, we tend to be pretty direct. And there's some people, obviously, who are more direct than others within the American population, American culture. So that really got me thinking how important it is in this global situation, because we're all in this together, right? How important communication really is, and looking at a situation from someone else's perspective. And I mentioned in a couple videos back that I was involved in a hit and run, and I was trying very hard to think about the situation from the perspective of the young man who just left the situation, left the accident. And if they find him, he's going to get into some trouble, right? But I understand, I think, what was going on, right? He just panicked, like anybody would do in a situation like that. He panicked, and then he could either fight, he could flee, or he could just sort of be afraid and cower. He chose to just, right? So understanding someone and their perspective is huge in communication. And in Covey's 7 Habits book, years ago I read that, he talks about seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's not an easy thing to do. At least I don't think so. And so if at the end of the day, that's something that you and I have accomplished, we were seeking first to understand and then to be understood, think how much better our interactions with other people would be. So that's my challenge for you today. Go out, and before you open your mouth in a situation where it could just blow up, try to understand where the other person's coming from. That's the challenge today. Good luck.